Cuomo. Happy Friday. Another message for you. And again, you got to hear me out, and then you can judge it all you want. And we're looking at the day's biggest stories through the lens of interpreting what they mean for our overall dynamics. We have a story that's a window into a problem we have in society and what happens when you don't deal with a problem. You're going to hear about an old man who winds up shooting someone who's innocent because of what was done to him, which is a real problem that's been ignored in this society, and I'll take you through it. We're going to look at what's going on at Columbia University and elsewhere in the country, what's going on in the Trump trial, what happened with this sick man lighting himself on fire and how that's being used for sick people, for sick purposes, that it has nothing to do with. I've got a great panel to discuss that with you, all through the lens of what is true. And here's the message. The truth is not enough. The truth will not set you free. The truth is rarely even knowable in subjective circumstances. And the world is far from a 2 + 2 = 4 reality in most ways, most of the time. We are in an age not of truth, but of preference, advantage, and animus. We act too often as if perceptions are enough. How you see it, how you feel, what it means to you. Perspective from others outside yourself is a distraction. All that matters is the other side being worse, not you being better. Just that they are worse. And anyone who disagrees, not just with your determination of perception and others who share it, but if they just disagree that this is the way to do it, let alone your conclusion, they're bad. They're not just wrong, they're bad. Every outcome that is not to your advantage is rigged. Why? Because the truth is not enough. And when it's not about that, there's no need for good faith. Cooperation should be seen as weakness. Dissent, therefore, makes you a rhino on the right. Questioning what a small group wants you to say and think about other people or ideas or them or an issue gets you canceled on the left, because it is not about the truth. It's about preference, advantage, and animus. And that's what we're seeing everywhere in one place. And that's the good news. Everything I'm defining right now probably makes sense, probably seems familiar, but only if you're talking about what? Our politics. Only there. You put Trump in any other context in your existence, he doesn't make sense. Just as he's never made sense in his own life. He's always been an oddball everywhere, in every circle he's been in. Okay, I'm not some other reporter on some other channel. I've known him my whole life on a personal level. How he worked with my father, how his father worked with my father, how he worked with my father and my brother, how he worked with me, the people who represented his PR, the people he was with, the people he dated. And I know him. Do you understand? We are not friends. We've never been friends. We're not even contemporaries. But I know, and I'm telling you that. It's true. You may not like it, because for you it's not about the truth, but that is the truth. The good news is, everywhere else in life, where you work, you're partnering, you're parenting, your parents, your kids, your friends, your passions. All those dynamics are absolutely about truth in every manifestation. We have tough love there. We have accountability there. We have a duty of calling out what is right and wrong and trying to correct and interconnect and think team, think mutual benefit, win-win. Sacrifice, charity, loyalty, long-term thinking. These are all normative everywhere else in your life. It is strange if you don't think that way anywhere else. Dating. Have you ever thought about our future? Nah, I'm just figuring that there's another woman who's kind of uglier than you. That's enough for tonight. Never work. How you doing, Johnny? Oh, you got a 68? How the other kids do? Anybody do worse? All right, then. Never. At work, stay late? I prefer not to. Why? This job kind of sucks. You suck. Good luck with that. But that is the good news, okay? Our politics have become a repository of all of our worst intentions. Why? It's complicated. But the part that I want to focus on is this binary battle that it's become. That's all it is about the parties. And again, this is not me saying we need no more politics. It's not what I'm saying. The parties are not a necessary part of our politics. They're not in the Constitution. They were warned against from so many of our greatest leaders, starting with President Washington. He worked with two of the greatest minds in constitutional history, Madison and Hamilton, on his farewell address. And in it, a major portion was avoid sectarian disputes. You must be a nation, that is all. Do not get into parties. You will enable a small group of men with very selfish ambitions to draw power to themselves and take it from the rest. And he was right. So no, we don't have to have them, because this is what comes with them. They dominate the democracy. They are corrupt entities that are all about winning through attacking the other and attrition. They don't sell you that they're better. They sell you that if you don't vote for them, the other side will fill in the blank. Make all of your kids have no gender. Take away the democracy and make us some kind of despotic third part. You know, they don't want to be America anymore. It's all these crazy extremes that you would allow nowhere else in your life. And that is the good news. There's no shame in their game. So see it for what it is and see the fix. Start looking at politics through the lens of the rest of your life. Don't accept that it's a different reality and different rules. The truth is there is no reason that politics nor government should not conform to the rules we have everywhere else. The truth, the intentions of goodwill. Stop playing the game. Instead, change the game. Stop letting it change you. The truth is enough everywhere else. Biden has allowed inaction at the border, exacerbated the situation. The numbers are horrible, and he now owns it, and it is a top domestic agenda issue in this election like I have never seen before. And the fact that he's not done any executive action is baffling, and it could cost him the election. That is the truth. I don't have to say that and his policy is an open border. No, it isn't. Well, that's what they want. No, they don't. Some do, but that's the fringe. Why do you listen to them? Because you're not about the truth, you're about advantage. You don't have to pretend the plan, and he's doing it to get in as many new Democrat voters as possible. The truth is enough. That's BS. And it wouldn't work anywhere else in life except in politics. What are you talking about? There's no proof of that. Who told you that? Where does that come from? But not in our politics. It's not allowed anywhere else. It's not at the kitchen table. It's not at the boardroom. It's not in the court of law. So why is it allowed in our politics? Just think about it. Just be philosophical about it. Yes, this isn't practical. Yes, it's so hard to change things. I understand. But philosophically, you know I'm right, and that's got to matter. If Biden does something in a month on the border, it should be too late. I know they'll say, oh, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. No, it's just too late. And his speech and his age are issues. But he hasn't checked out. He's not a puppet. He's not incompetent. Well, that's what you think. I heard. You heard from who? Some joker on Fox or online who doesn't know anybody and doesn't know anything? You really believe that a conservative pundit has great sources in the Biden White House? In this day and age where they hate each other all the time? Please, don't be played for a sucker. So then how do I know? Because I know people who work around him. And they're with him daily. And look, I used to be able to tell you that I'd know because the president is someone I speak to, but that's not true anymore. He won't speak to me. But I believe the sources I have. And the truth is enough. The man burning himself up in front of Trump's trial today is sick. He's not a martyr. He's not a truth teller. He's not someone who understands the deep state. He's not proof that Trump is a victim. The truth is enough. He's sick. And we have mentally ill who are untreated and uncared for all over. And we have a society that is sooner to blame them for their illness than do something about it. That's the truth. Trump paid off women, and he did it to keep it quiet at home and for PR reasons. That's the truth. Should he be prosecuted? I'll ask you a question. Have we seen any other cases like it? That's the question to ask. Why? Because what you do repeatedly shows what you value most. And if you've never gone after for anybody like him for how he deals with his real estate or how he deals with these hush money things or whatever you want to call it in a campaign, well, why are you doing it this time? That takes you to the truth. When you don't see cases like this, you need to look at why. But is Biden doing it? Are the Democrats doing it? No. The truth is enough. It's a weak case that you don't usually make because it doesn't serve any real policy. And it reeks of politics. And the people who brought it reek of ambition. And that's enough. It doesn't have to be a big grand conspiracy. The gag order makes sense. Because all you people ever talk about and why he can't get a fair trial is because you allow things to be politicized instead of just allowing the facts and laws to play out. You say that all the time. And now Trump doesn't want it to be that way because he knows the more he runs his mouth, the better it is for him, as long as he's tearing down another institution. The man that we want to elect to make us great again does nothing but tear us down. Doesn't that make you wonder about what his real intentions are? How can somebody want to make you great when they're trying to destroy everything around you? So of course there's going to be a gag order, and it applies to everybody. It would make perfect sense in any other context, but because it's Trump, see what I'm saying? The truth should be enough, and it would be anywhere else in your life. That's why you have all these people in your lives who you can talk to about anything except politics. The truth is enough. Treat what's happening in our politics the way you would anything else in your life. And that will begin with you refusing to join some stupid party that only has their own interests and not your own. And be independent and a free thinker. Be a free agent and a critical thinker. Be independent. The truth is enough. Now, the truth of today is that the Trump trial, by metaphor, was on fire. Right? And it's going to be an explosive event. This is true. And that guy lighting himself on fire, God save him, he became a metaphor for it. The jury, the alternates, they're all picked. Opening statements begin Monday. But they've already started, right? And Trump has been making the case out in the court of public opinion. He's the victim. He's complaining. The gag order was imposed on him. It's imposed on all the parties. Oh, yeah, but he's not allowed to publicly criticize the staff or family of the DA or the judge. Well, should he? It's not like he has great reason to. Okay, the explanations about the judge's daughter get so thin, so fast, so ridiculous because the same people won't apply it to Clarence Thomas and his wife. What does that tell you? That the truth is not enough for these people. It's only advantage. Because if it were about truth, they'd shut up about Marshawn's daughter or whatever her deal is because Clarence Thomas's wife was deep, deep into one that wound up leading to January 6th. You see what I'm saying? The truth is enough. Now, Now, the opposite of truth is this.
I have to be released to the gag order. They've taken away my constitutional rights to speak. Everyone else can say whatever they want about me. They can say anything they want. They can continue to make up lies and everything else. They lie. They're real scum. So why am I gagged about telling the truth? I'm only telling the truth. They're not telling the truth.
He is not telling the truth. He is not the only one banned. Okay? And it is not a constitutional right. Time, place, and manner is also part of the assessment. Trump was warned by the judge and then still violated the gag over 7 more times. People should be asking, well, then why isn't he being punished? Independent presidential candidate Cornel West, Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, NewsNation correspondent at large Geraldo Rivera. I have asked these altacacas, these wise men, these better minds, to join me tonight to chew on a few big issues of the day. And we will start, gentlemen, if you will allow, with what we're seeing in Trump land. And please set the table for us, Geraldo, about what you think this trial means and what you made of the madness of this man lighting himself.
Well, let me start there. It shows how radicalized some people have become, so detached from reality, to text out, I am outside the Trump trial, I'm about to set myself on fire. This is someone who is clearly deranged, but unfortunately, he has plenty of pals to hang out with. I just think that moderation, your wonderful commentary, Chris, moderation is very dangerous in this day and age. Roger Ailes, my old sainted boss, used to say the only people in the middle of the road are roadkill. I'm experiencing a bit of that now because I would never again vote for Donald Trump. I think that he violated his oath of office and his relationship with the American people by defying the results of the election between 2020, the election, and January 6th. What he did was stab the Constitution in the back. On the other hand, what is happening to him, and I think you can't make light of it, is that he's really in the clutches of the Democratic establishment in New York City. Letitia James, the Attorney General, campaigned on getting him. Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in this particular case, who went against all the legal opinion and charged 34 felony counts, when it should be probably 1 misdemeanor. Marshawn's daughter, you can poo-poo the fact that she's a Democratic operative, but it does seem, if you were in Trump's shoes, that you're up against this monolithic monster that wants more than anything else to destroy you. Yeah, I think that I feel for him. On the other hand, he put himself in this position, but it's never happened before. And for this to be the first time an American president is tried for a crime, to have this lame crime. Historians will look at this and they'll say this was unfair, Chris.
Professor Dershowitz, the idea of this gag order, of course, Trump is misstating the nature of it. It's not just on him. And you don't have an automatic right to badmouth the judge in your trial whenever you want, wherever you want. What do you make of the gag and the move to prosecute in New York City?
Well, first of all, I think the biggest scandal is that the first trial of a former president is not on television. I don't want to hear about the trial through Fox and through CNN. If you listen to CNN, this is the most serious case since the Lincoln assassination on videotape. If you listen to Fox, there's nothing to the case at all. And as you said in your brilliant opening monologue, there's something to the case, but not enough to have brought a criminal prosecution. And so we should see it on television. You know, in the OJ case, there was a poll that showed that people who saw it on television were less surprised at the verdict than people who heard about it through Jeffrey Tubman's biased reporting or CNN's biased reporting. So we, the American public, have a right to see this trial. We should see it. As far as the gag order is concerned, let's remember the gag order is a genre of prior restraint. Prior restraint is anathema to the First Amendment. There should be no prior restraint except in the most extraordinary situations. And it shouldn't apply to bad-mouthing witnesses, and it shouldn't apply to complaining about the daughter. You may be right that there's nothing to the daughter's case, but he has the right to bring to the American public the claim that the daughter might profit from her father's rulings. And so I'm in favor of openness. I'm in favor of it being on television. Let everybody speak. Let the public judge. And I think it will go down in history as a perversion of justice. But we won't know it unless we see it. Because if you see it on or read about it in the New York Times, this is the fairest trial that has ever been conducted, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. And we're entitled to more than that. So let's put it on television. Let's eliminate gag orders in general, except in the most extraordinary cases, and let the First Amendment prevail. That's what I'm in favor of. Total free speech, the marketplace of ideas.
I agree. I am for more speech, not less, even though it's uncomfortable, even though you hear a lot of ugly things. But I believe the ugly and the extreme make it that much easier for better ideas to win. On the gag should have been put on all parties. With the same rules. But I'm saying if he had done that, then it would have been easier to justify. Just putting it on Trump against what he doesn't like to hear about the judge. But in any other case, Alan, if you had a client who was bad-mouthing the judge, what do you think would happen?
Well, he would be in trouble, and I would be opposing it. In a normal case, the ACLU would be on my side. But who's heard of the ACLU lately? The Anti-Civil Liberties Union, which no longer has to do with Trump. And so they're not here. I remember having cases with jurors in which I joined with the ACLU and we opposed.
Yes.
And those days are gone forever. Thank God there is an organization, which is doing a little bit of work on the First Amendment. Not enough, in my view.
Well, we gotta fight that fight because there's censorship all around us. Brother West, it is good to see you. It's been a minute. I couldn't catch you when you were up at Columbia. I want to talk to you guys about that. Please stay with me through the break. I hope that doesn't mess up Good Shabbos for you, Professor. But please stay through the break.
I stay up late. I want to talk about Columbia. I want to talk about
Columbia. Good. So we'll stay through the break. But let me just ask Cornel West quickly here. What did you make of Stephen A. Smith, whom I love, so be careful, saying Donald Trump now has a connection to the black vote that Democrats don't have because he is saying, look, I'm like you. I'm getting prosecuted for bad reason just because the system can. I get it now. There's a two-tiered justice system. Vote for me. Do you believe that Brother Trump now has a connection to the black reality that will make him a better president for people of color, Cornel West?
Well, Trump has always had a certain connection to the Mike Tysons and Don Kings because he's always been tied to certain black folk in entertainment, and he's been one of the lords of entertainment. But I want to say this, though, brother, that I think we're living in a Malcolm X moment where chickens are coming home to roost, where the greedy and the wealthy and the powerful now have to be rendered in some way accountable and responsible and answerable. And that's true not just for Trump. He deserves a fair trial. He deserves his rights protected. But we know he's said and done so many things with no accountability at all, like certain nations that we can talk about. Just say anything, do anything, get away with it, and then try to manipulate the public or lie and hide whatever crimes they may have done. We're reaching a point now where there's such a spiritual meltdown and there is a moral breakdown where it is unclear whether even the legal system itself, when it proceeds, can produce a result without a civil war breaking out. Now, that's a sign of meltdown, which is spiritual and moral, but it has political consequences because why? Because you still got poor people out here who's struggling. You got mass incarceration who's struggling. And we're going to get to the genocide in Gaza in a minute in relation to Colombia. I know Dershowitz wants to get to that, and I want to get to that too. But it's very important that we put this in a larger context. This is not just about Trump. This is about someone who has been saying things and getting away with things with no accountability whatsoever, and other people come and hide and conceal his lies or abet his lies, you see. Mm-hmm.
Right. Listen, I'm with you, brother. The question is what the consequence should be. And if you start prosecuting people because you don't like them, and that's the level of accountability, it gets slippery. Let's take a break. We'll come back and continue the conversation and look at what's going on at Columbia University and what it means for how America is responding to the Middle East. Gentlemen, I love you. Thank you for being with me, especially on a Friday night. We'll be right back. 4 minutes. Best collection of intelligence you'll see on TV tonight, even with me, Geraldo Rivera, Professors Cornel West and Alan Dershowitz. Look, each of you raised me in different ways, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to set the table to you, Brother West, and then I want you three to discuss what you think matters about this situation. And I really just want to listen along with everybody else, so don't make me have to get involved. Cornel West, what we're seeing at Columbia University as metaphor, saying that there's too much pain in Gaza and it has to stop is the truth. Saying that we are all Hamas and dogging every Jewish classmate they can find as if their blood was offensive to them is not helpful. And it is that conflict that we're dealing with in the country right now. Kids at the best university in the world saying, we are all Hamas. What do you see in it? I know you went to address them and support them. Why is this a good thing?
I was blessed to be in solidarity both with them to bring attention to this indescribable evil. I would have liked to see the same thing at Columbia when Jewish brothers and sisters were undergoing genocide. Genocide is genocide. If you don't like the word, just call it war crimes. Massive killing, especially murder of now nearly 15,000 children. This is beyond urgent. This is beyond an emergency. It's a beautiful thing to see the students standing up. Now, when I was there for 4.5 hours. They got Jewish brothers with yarmulkes on, part of the encampment. I mean, the idea that somehow everybody's talking about Hamas, no, that's a distraction. We're talking about innocent people who are being murdered. Murder is murder, but nobody wants to talk about murder taking place under conditions of occupation, domination, and now 33,000. So if you're going to talk about terror, you don't begin with Hamas, you begin with the IDF is killing people. That's terror, and you get counter-terror that kills innocent people. I believe, as a matter of morality, the killing of innocent people is a crime against humanity. But when you have a domination and occupation in place, my brother, then we have to understand they are trying to raise the issues of this is something that must stop. I'm with them.
Let's talk about the truth now. The truth is this all started on October 7th.
Well, are you implying I didn't tell the truth? Are you implying I didn't tell the truth, my brother?
I'm not implying it. I'm stating it categorically. It all started on October 7th.
Oh, well, you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay.
And people over and over again. Then it continued with Hamas using babies and children as human shields and hiding them among civilians in order to maximize the death toll among civilians. That's been their strategy since they were established. The more civilians that are killed by the IDF and by rockets that are failing from Gaza, the better off they are. They want children to die. They want innocent people to die. They want the numbers of women to die. That's part of their policy. Notwithstanding that, fewer civilians have been killed in this war in Gaza than in any previous battle involving urban warfare and the use of human shields. Far fewer than in Afghanistan, far fewer than in Iraq. The ratio of civilians to combatants is approximately 1-to-1. In the United States, it was about 4-to-1, and in previous years, it was about 10-to-1. As far as the hunger is concerned,
I think you're lying. I think you're lying. You're lying, brother. You're rationalizing genocide. You're rationalizing genocide. But go on. Let
me finish. The vast majority of hunger is caused by Hamas stealing the food from the people of Gaza. We know because when the IDF went into the tunnels, they found stored food, stored medicine that had been stolen. So the truth is complicated, but it's not genocide. And when you have people at Columbia...
Now you're rationalizing famine. You're rationalizing famine now, brother. This is getting worse and worse, worse and worse.
No famine.
Can I just say one thing? It's
hard to say.
You can't ignore
Alan,
that.
Let Geraldo get in. Alan, let Geraldo get in. Go ahead.
When they chant from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, what they, by saying that, are actually saying is they want Israel to no longer exist. I mean, that's the truth. We are celebrating, and you made reference to it at the top of the show, Chris, Passover's in a couple of days, which acknowledges how Jews fought their way out of exile, fought their way to freedom, had the angel of death pass over them. A couple of days ago, we had Easter, the resurrection of Jesus, a Jew. The biblical existence of Judaism and Jewish presence in the Holy Land is geological. It's history. It's actual fact. It's an undisputable fact. Jews have been there continuously for many, many centuries. When you say a nation that was established as a refuge from the worst slaughter of a race of people, maybe in our history, in the history of the planet, you are being incredibly racist in its own way, anti-Semitic in its own way. There is a real reason, particularly after October 7th, the worst slaughter of Jews in a single day since the Holocaust, to overlook that and say that, I hate that civilians are being killed in Gaza. I want a ceasefire.
Absolutely.
I want the Israeli hostages released. I want people on both sides to have goodwill. But when you go and protest wherever it is, and you're so single-minded and focused on one side, you do a disservice to the truth. I love Professor Cornel West. But he's a wonderful, educated, seminal intellect, and I love him. But you can't ignore the righteousness of the Jewish cause, Chris.
But I think what is distinctive about both of you, dear Jewish brothers, is that if you look at the world through the vantage point of your Hebrew scripture, which says you look at the world through the lens of the orphan, the widow, the fatherless, the mother, you spread that hesed for the oppressed. Palestinians are oppressed by an Israeli state. And right now, the present policy of Israel is from the river to the sea. They want a greater Israel of apartheid-like conditions. That's what we're talking about.
I don't. I want two states living side by side in peace.
Have you seen a single sign that calls for...
But the two states...
demonstrations? Nobody in these demonstrations wants a two-state solution. I want a two-state solution. I want to end the occupation. But nobody in these demonstrations does. They want to wipe Israel off
because
the
it's too...
Single sign for a two-state...
Because it's too late. They want Jews and Palestinians to live together, so there's no Jewish supremacy. There's no Jewish supremacy or Palestinian supremacy. But when you talk about the two-state, that's over now, Alan. That's over. It's too late. You got 800,000 settlements. Given the settler colonial expansion, 800,000 settlements. They've undercut the two-state.
Gaza in 2005, every single Jew picked up and left. The same thing can happen on the West Bank. If you join me in calling for a two-state solution, you go back to Colombia, and me. Two of us will make a speech calling for a two-state solution, and we will be booed out of there. They won't even let us speak. They will commit violence against us if we call for a two-state solution. That's the truth.
It's precisely because calling for the two-state solution has been a subterfuge and a mirage to allow for Israel to expand and subordinate, stealing the land, and the settlers killing innocent Palestinians as civilians. Listen, that's the reality.
We all know.
Brother Chris talked about the truth. Of the Middle East. We got to talk about the truth.
We also know that you can't deal with the situation that's presently there without trying to set some new ambitions as goals. You can't look at the future as a function of the past. You'll never get anywhere better when it comes to the Middle East. Alan's point is, if you go in there with good faith saying two-state solution, you give yourself a starting point, and obviously you don't want it to be a repeat of the past. I got to jump, but I have to tell you.
But Chris, the important point is this. The United States have been talking about two-state all this time. They've been enabling the genocide and the apartheid conditions. To talk about two-state is a distraction at this point. Because it has not proven Palestinian dignity and Palestinian humanity. That's the problem.
Only goal has to be existence, and coexistence only exists with two entities. So that's the co-part. So obviously there's a long way to go, but the starting point should be rational, and that is rational. Brother West, Professor Dershowitz, Professor Rivera, thank you to each and all. I really appreciate the conversation. I know conversation is the cure. Of course it's hard. Of course it's hard. But
happy Passover. Happy Passover to happy Passover.
We just had Easter. We just had Ramadan. We got Passover coming. Everybody's celebrating change.
Look forward to welcoming.
It's very Jewish to be in solidarity with oppressed people around the world, no matter what.
Don't stay tribal.
Don't stay tribal. It has to be across the board.
Across the board, I'm with you. We're one tribe. 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
That's right.
When we come back, a real conundrum. Old people are getting scammed. We got one. When they show up to scam him, he says, not today. He winds up killing one of the people he believes was setting him up. The problem is, he was wrong. Where is justice? Next.
Yes, I know what you're after. You're after mercy. Help! I'll keep you.
81-year-old man in Ohio, William Brock, okay? He gets taken in one of these scams, but he winds up shooting the person who he thinks is the bag man. And this woman, 61-year-old female Uber driver, Lolitha Hall, was not part of it. It happened on March 25th. Both were victims of scam phone calls. All right, I'll walk you through it. Brock says he received several phone calls. You know, people like to take advantage of older people, extort money. It's happened in my family, all right? He alleges that he got several calls from a guy who pretended to be a police officer. He said that he knew Brock's nephew had been arrested and he needed $12,000 to get him out of jail. You heard of this one before? Me too. The conversation gets more aggressive. The caller threatens to murder the nephew, Brock and his family, if Brock didn't fork over the $12,000. The caller said they had arranged for a pickup, sending someone to get the money. Very rare. Usually it's online. Brock was on with the scammer, okay, while he's on. The innocent Uber driver drives up. She had been told by the same scammer to go to Brock's address to pick up a package.
Yes, I know what you're after. You're after mercy. Help! Help! I'll shoot you in the head. Don't do that. Please don't. Don't, sir. Please don't. Over. It's right up there. You can see it. You can see it. You can look, sir. Please. Just look. Oh, properly. Oh, I shoot you. Give me a phone. Oh, please, don't shoot me anymore.
Shot her 3 times. Then he called 911. You got to hear this part.
Some black woman come to the house here.
Did you shoot her?
Yes, I did. And
Is that her in the background?
Yes. She's bleeding some. And
okay, where did you shoot her at?
Well, I shot her in the leg the first time, and I shot her in the shoulder.
Why did you do that?
Because I was threatened that she was going to come and kill me.
Problem is, all of that is true. Lolitha later died at the hospital. Brock has been charged with murder, kidnapping for the not letting her leave in that place, which they're actually counting as a dwelling, which is weird, and felony assault. He pleaded not guilty, okay? He could get life in prison on the charges that they brought. Now, the person who's responsible for all of this in terms of making it happen, in the wind. In the wind. We don't care about these scammers enough to really do anything about it. Attorney Misty Maris will explain the prosecution. Former defense attorney for George Zimmerman, Mark O'Mara, will play defense. It's good to have you. Ooh, great goatee. Misty, what is the case and what do you do as a prosecutor with the context of the scam?
Well, it's sympathetic, but it's not a justifiable homicide. There has to be there has to be an imminent threat. There has to be proportionality in the use of deadly force. So what I would anticipate is a self-defense type of defense from him. It's just not going to fly. Chris, the video speaks for itself, and that's what the prosecution is going to focus on, that time frame.
Quick bounce question to you. Overcharged, given that he clearly wasn't trying to kill her in terms of intent, in terms of in his own mind what he thought he was doing?
Well, that's actually true, Chris. That is certainly something that I think you're going to hear in that argument, because there's definitely a whole story behind this, and a very, very sympathetic one. But this could be the type of case that goes to trial, and the conviction is ultimately on something that's a lesser included offense.
Mark O'Mara.
The whole thing is just so sad, Chris. I mean, you said it to begin with. It is horrible that this guy, who's obviously taken advantage of because of his age and probably his cognitive decline, gets himself in a situation where he thinks in his own mind he's possibly fighting for his life because the scammer has sent the henchman to his house, comes to the house to take the money. Was it justified? Difficult to say that was a justified shooting. Misty is right. It has to be an imminent fear of great bodily injury right there in your face. There wasn't. But this is going to be a defense of cognitive decline, the way that he was presented with the facts that he was acting under, and it's just sad all around.
Yeah, if they don't get him as basically incompetent right away, he's going to wind up going down. But the tragedy of it is that the policy that this is backing up is the wrong policy. Obviously, what he did is wrong, and it has nothing to do, in my mind, with race or any of the stuff that's being suggested about it. I don't care what color he is. I don't care what color she is. It's wrong any way you look at it with any combination. But for this scam that we're doing nothing about, and that is victimizing people all the time, this would have never happened. Misty, Mark, thank you both very much. We'll watch it, but it's hard to see where the justice is going to be in this. She's not going to be treated fairly. He's not going to be treated fairly. And the situation isn't, because it's going to continue. We'll be right back. For us, have a beautiful weekend. Dan Abrams, right after a quick break.